but I like what the artist represents, the fact that we should try to make movies and we should champion movies that are different, that are outside the norm. Let's make movies a little better than just, robots that beat each other up and, all these stupid movies that we have to endure every single year. If we could take the budgets for those, I know I rant about this on the show over and over, but it's so passionate for me because, I've been trying to raise money to make a film, that I've been so passionate about for, almost running probably 3 years now, three and a half years maybe. And, I could make about 50 great independent films just in the marketing money that is spent on a Transformers movie. It's like if you could think about the artists that could be funded and could produce visions, and produce movies that challenge us, that, I never understand people that want to just go sit in a movie theater and want to just be dumbed down by whatever's on the screen. I've never, ever understood that, and I want to be challenged when I'm sitting in a movie. I want a movie to change me. I want a movie to challenge my beliefs. I want to leave a movie pondering what I just saw. Like I said, a movie like The Tree of Life, I'm still thinking about that movie. And so many of these other movies, I forget about the minute I leave the theater. Is that what good art is? I mean, is that the level that we've gotten to? Yes, it's a business and it's commerce and all of that, but the reason I celebrate and love the Academy Awards so much is that we finally get to honor and show to the world that this industry is art, that this is art. It moves us on so many levels. The Academy Awards exist because, and Tom Cruise said this in 2002 at the Oscars, that we're all here because something came off a movie screen, an image, a gesture, something that moved us. And we never forget that. Think back to the first movies you ever saw. Think of how you are so touched by that memory in yourself of what these movies have done to you. I think about Star Wars, the first movie I ever saw. I think of Raiders of the Lost Ark, the movie that made me want to be a film director at age 11, when I saw the behind the scenes of making that particular movie. Think of those movies that have reached you in ways that no other art form can reach you. I think of JFK, a movie that completely changed my thinking, prompted me to want to investigate things further, to never believe what I'm told. This is what the Oscars are about. To me, it's not about, just, some garish night of, people just getting statues. It's about celebrating the art of film. You know what I love the most about the Oscar telecast last night was the fact that they showed these artists, the film editors, the visual effects artists, the sound mixers, up there, in their clips being nominated, explaining their art, and that's important. I think that's what the Oscars, that's what makes them so important, so that's why I'm so passionate about it. It's not a frivolous thing to me because I think what makes the Oscars special is, like I've said, the one night that we get to honor all the craft of filmmaking and, and why these choices that they make are important because it is historic. These are the Academy Awards, think about it now, the markers of so much of film history. When we go back to, what are the movies that have won Best Picture? They mark the time, so they are important, so that's why I've been so passionate about this for so long. Yes, money for Jason's movie, that's right. It's amazing, and to think how little of a budget that when you compare it to the other budgets of other movies, my budget for this movie has been $150,000. You would think that trying to raise that amount of money would not be that difficult, but you'd be amazed, to consider that, 3 years and all the connections that I tried to build up that wouldn't come through for me when I needed them most, that's what's frustrating. And that's why I take it very personal when you see the amount of money that's thrown into a movie, like we're going to make a movie about based on the Battleship game, what is that going to add to our culture? What is that movie going to move us in some? Are we going to be advanced as a culture? Is that movie going to affect us and change us in some way? That's what it frustrates me, the amount of money that's going to be spent just to market a movie like that. And if that movie could go to all these artists that have a voice and have something to say, that part of themselves that, Dustin Hoffman said it best in one of the best Oscar acceptance speeches ever, when he won for Kramer versus Kramer in 1979, that they are giving that artistic part of themselves, and he was so passionate about it, that they can't find happiness any other way except to get that expression out. That's what I love about artists, that they have to express themselves, and especially on film, that they have a voice, they have something to say. And me as a moviegoer, I want to see that. I want to experience that. I want to experience that vision. Another reason I love The Tree of Life, because I knew that was a very personal film. Terrence Malick, I was seeing some kind of expression from him that affected me, moved me, made me learn more about my humanity. That's what art is. It's not to sit there and blow shit up on screen. That's not going to contribute anything to the greatness of or advancing us as a culture or anything like that. Anyway, see, it got me up on my soapbox, and now I never get down. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox there. Team O'Brien, thank you, Lisa. I appreciate all the support in the chat there. But anyway, okay. That's, what was this? No, hang on. Was that the one thing I wanted to see? No. Okay. So anyway, that is our show. I want to close it out tonight with this. If I can ever get my switchboard back up, I will play this tonight to close. I wanted to close with one of my favorite Oscar moments of all time, because I think it really kind of celebrates what I'm trying to say. But yeah, they're saying in the chat about how I'm on fire tonight. But yeah, Lisa, about the theater. Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, because Lisa's a theater actor, and it's when you have that need to express yourself through art, it's just and that's why I love people that are passionate about it. I can't stand the people that are in the industry, especially film, that are so jaded about it. And again, that's why this Meryl Streep moment last night is going to be one of my favorite Oscar moments, because here she is, 17 nominations, and she is still just as moved by that. I mean, these people that are so jaded about the industry, and they piss me off constantly, because it's like, if you could only know that how much there are people like me that want to do what you're doing and would bless the ground every single day that they got the opportunity to do that, so that's what this time of year, when the Oscars have come and gone, and the realization that we get this one little time in the year, where the industry actually honors a film that goes against the grain. I mean, think about all the Best Picture winners that had such trouble getting made. Think of the story of Dances with Wolves. I was watching the behind the scenes on Dances with Wolves, and I love how passionate Kevin Costner gets. But think of how nobody wanted to make that movie. Nobody wanted Sylvester Stallone to star in Rocky. It wins Best Picture. Nobody wanted to make crap. What's the one that's escaping me now? I had one right at me. Well, I could look at my list here. Yeah, look how Clint Eastwood had such trouble trying to get $1 Million Baby made. Look how nobody wanted to get that. It wins Best Picture. Oscar history is replete with films that, had to struggle to get made. So unfortunately, it's like this we have the industry that's sitting there, most of the time of the year, it's all about the money, and it's all about, how many sequels can we make? How many more times can we produce the same crap, and get people to show up to it? But then we get this one moment, one night, or at least a season, 6 weeks, where we really get to talk about and celebrate the craft of filmmaking, celebrate this art form, which it truly, truly is. And that's why this time is precious, and I wish the industry acted more like they do in these 6 weeks than they do all the rest of the year. When there's that camaraderie between, the camaraderie that actors and all of that they really celebrate during the nominations time, and maybe even if it is all surface, I think it's a model for how we could all work together for art, So anyway, I will get off my soapbox. I have talked enough.